Hi, my name is Eva, and I'm a community organizer with Innovate Public Schools and a former middle school teacher. I am passionate about transforming public education through the empowerment of families.
Hi, I'm Annie, and I'm a member of our schools team here at Innovate Public Schools and a former principal here in the Bay Area.
Hi, my name is Alicia, and I am the Regional VP of the Peninsula team at Innovate Public Schools. I'm a former high school principal and am a mom of a 6-year-old daughter. And now I'm excited to work with families and parents and kids and school leaders in East Palo Alto and in Redwood City.
Hi everyone, my name is Isadora Costa Cardozo and I'm the community organizer for Innovate Public Schools.
This training will cover many different things, and what we're hoping to get out of this training and that you will get out of this training is really thinking about the most effective ways to connect with families during this kind of unprecedented time, COVID-19, but also tips and skills that you can take after in communicating with families to help increase student achievement and to further cultivate relationships with parents. So the 5 particular things that will be covered today will be the purpose of close family communication, distance learning best practices, some tips for having effective conversations with families, an outline for phone calls, and some follow-up. And then 6, it will be resources for families and educators.
As you all know, there are a ton of articles and recommendations out there about what are the best practices for distance learning. By far, the one that stands out to be the most beneficial for educators and families is that parent-teacher communication. Teachers are on the front line of this, and quite frankly, you are the face that families trust and rely on the most. And that's why we're focusing on this training. The purpose of having a close teacher-family relationship is more than just checking in on whether or not they've completed their homework or if they're keeping up with their peers. It's about really checking in with the family and their needs. By having a much more consistent and frequent communication with the families, you're able to build that lasting trust and relationship with them that can carry beyond this current situation. Families want to be treated as co-educators, and at this time, they are truly co-educators. So engaging them in what student work looks like and progress looks like, and how to improve that will build not only their capacity as a co-educator, but set up a foundation that will benefit all students.
I'll be giving you some tips on how to better communicate with families. Tip number 1 is to listen deeply. This is a true opportunity for you to connect with the families. If you're a parent, you may be going through similar things as the families, so be empathetic, caring, and patient when talking to them. There is a quote that says, "To truly listen from a place of deep presence is one of the greatest gifts we can give one another." Tip number 2 is think about what's going to be most understandable for the parents and going to every call with empathy. What is easier for us may not be the easiest for parents. Remember that many families may deeply want to help, but there are some things that stop them from doing. They may not have much access to technology. They may not speak the same language as you. They may not feel comfortable teaching their kids. And also they may be struggling from some basic human needs in addition to academics. Number 3 is, as tempting as it is to just text, email, or Google Classroom, phone calls go a long way. They're really, really important. So try to get in touch with an interpreter if that's your main barrier. Number 4, allow at least 15 minutes per call. Number 5, text or email the family specific resources like links or follow-up information and flyers, so they can easily access it instead of just listen to it when you say it verbally. And finally, getting ready for your call. Some of the things you should have before calling the parents. Have resources to hand with links and follow-up. An interpreter lineup if needed. Know your agenda and be ready to take notes.
Let's go through what actually happens in a phone call. So first, if you don't know what language is needed for the call, take a minute to ask, and if you need to call them back with an interpreter, make a plan to do that. Next, you want to state the purpose of your call. For example, are you calling to specifically check in on how the homework assignment from last week was going, or how they're doing socially? State the purpose up front so the parent knows what you want to get out of the call, and then just broadly ask them how you're doing to build that relationship. If the family mentions needing a specific resource that you have access to, follow up with them via text so that they have access to that resource. Tell the family concern you've been hearing from other families over this distance learning time. For example, you could say, I've been hearing from other families a concern that they don't know how to access math academics. Are you having that same problem? This makes them more comfortable to tell you the truth and give real feedback. In a great conversation, you want to try to ask open-ended questions rather than yes or no answer questions. For example, a great open question would be, tell me about how reading is going this week. A closed question would be, have your child done their homework? So you want to get parents to open up to you and be honest with their feedback, which is something they haven't always been used to doing with the school. To close your phone call, you want to be clear with the family about when they can expect next communication with you. For example, I'm going to call you again next week to check in on this specific thing. Ask them if they need anything else from you, and then finally thank them for being a great partner in their kids' education with you.
So after your call, there are some really important ways to follow up and to make sure that all of this is tracked. So log your calls with as much detailed information as you can. It's important for follow-up, so taking some notes on academic progress that you discussed with the family, any concerns you have, or any social services kinds of needs, or things that were either offered or things that came up in your conversation. You can do this either on a template that already exists within your school or within your school district. You can also create your own system, something that works best for you. But what it will do is it will really help you keep track of the family's progress, the family's needs, and if there's anything that you need to follow up with them about. And the hope is that this will also continue to increase student achievement in your classroom and sort of student behavior and all the kinds of things that are really helpful for a student to be successful in your class as well. The last thing I would say is to send the families a follow-up email or a text, whichever you worked out with them, about the resources that you agreed to share with them. So something like, here's the information about the food bank I offered, or here is the information about the meal program at our school, or anything else that you offered to share with them. Just remember to send that to the families.
Thank you for your efforts to have great parent communication, both during a pandemic and beyond. You are so needed.
Thank you so much for your willingness to think through the importance of having effective phone calls and communication with families. It's so important to students, and it's so important to the work that we all do in classrooms every day. So this is not only important for during a pandemic like we're experiencing now, but also afterwards. And hopefully this will help with the comfort level and confidence of both a parent in speaking with their student's teacher and for you when speaking with families and parents. Thank you so much for your attention on all of this.
Thank you, everyone.